All right, let's go. Chris, thank you for doing this. And if you don't mind just sharing with everyone, who are you, what market center you're at, and give us the good stuff.
All right, sounds good. My name is Christopher Smith. I'm the owner of the Chris Smith Group at Keller Williams. In the Northwest office. We've got a team of 14 right now. We've got a few that are kind of getting their licenses and that sort of thing. The next few that are going to be joining us are actually family members and that sort of thing. So we should be up to probably 16 or 17 here by the end of the year, as long as they do what they said they were going to do. So I'm excited.
All right. When did you get in? We're in the same class, right?
We
Graduating
absolutely were.
real estate.
Yeah, you remember my French wife, very, very French. Yeah. We took classes. We were in the same champions school class, actually, Diller, you and I, and with my wife and my daughter. So when I first started getting into the business, it was because my daughter decided that she wanted to get her license, and my wife decided she wanted to do that with her. And then I was just like, well, that sounds like fun. Let's make it a family effort and we'll go and do that. So then there was lots and lots and lots of competition going on at the table. As you probably remember, it was an interesting class. Yeah, no. So we've been licensed here for about the same amount of time. Yeah, no, I love my team. My background was in was I was an executive for digital companies. So I was in tech side for 27 years. I was the an executive for a engineering team. So they did programming, and I have a master's degree in computer science. And then I went into marketing. So I was the vice president of marketing for digital marketing companies. So I drove big teams. I think the biggest team that I had was 148 strong at one point. Um,
Wow.
so so I started my real estate career while I was an executive for these companies. So we were doing like 70 hours a week type of thing doing that. And then I also was building a business with the real estate side of things too. So if you're if you have a day job, it is 100% doable. You can build a big business in real estate while you're still working at a job is my point here.
So you're pro. We have a little bit of a battle, which I think is it's a healthy battle. There's, that you got to do it full time and you got to do it part time. And that's why, or you can do it part time. That's why I love doing this morning with a mentor, because we're getting all of these different responses that hopefully people will just kind of find their little networks and gravitate and have people to ask questions to.
Let me say that a little bit differently, Diller, because I actually think it's a little bit different. I think you
Okay,
have two
go for it.
jobs. I think you have two jobs and you're full time on both. You can't do part time in this industry. So if you
I
if you're
like
not
that
gonna
example
if
or
you're
that
not
explanation.
right, we were doing real estate, and it was nonstop real estate for nights and weekends, and then nonstop kind of nine to five, 9 to 6, or even 6 to 6 jobs, right? So I would get up at 6 o'clock in the morning. I'd go get my day knocked out and that sort of thing. I'd start to manage my teams right around 9 o'clock in the morning. I'd finish up about 5:30, 6 o'clock, and I'd go to my first showing, if that was the nights, and we'd show properties until lock boxes were done at 8:30. And then I would work all day on Saturday and Sunday at open houses and showing properties all weekend long. So that's how you build your businesses if you're working. It is 100% a full-time job for both sides. You can't do this part-time.
All right. Well, you're almost answering some of the questions I'm going to ask you. So I'm going to cut us off right there so I can ask these questions. All right. Ready?
I'm ready. Let's go.
Okay. And just to confirm, I have not asked you these questions before and you do not know what I'm about to ask you, correct?
That is correct.
All right. What up, Jasmine? You just popped in for the juicy part. Okay. What are your priorities today?
What are my priorities today? Building my team, making sure that education is number one for my team and for everybody that I'm mentoring or encountering. Um, One of my big priorities for and push right now is to help the ALC as well to ensure that we have education locked down at the Northwest Center. One of the things that I'm finding in our education right now is there's not a whole lot of hands-on training. We have a lot of like talking and this is how things should be done. But I'm really putting together a program right now that is my number one focus as a rainmaker, to ensure that we have hands-on. You're actually hands-on keyboard and working at whatever the topic is. So the four pillars of the business, right? So if it's social media, you're doing videos. If you're working on databases, your hands are on keyboards and actually working on databases and action plans. So that's the program that I've started to develop here. We're in week 2 of that right now. We're going to be kind of doing this all the way to the end. I've given my team a challenge of 4 weeks, but it will continue on until the end of the year.
Perfect. All right. So if you're at the Northwest office, Chris might need some guinea pigs at some point for some role play. I'm going to throw it out there that maybe they could ask you for that.
Absolutely. Well, and my role playing sessions are open to everybody. So anybody that wants to come in and role play can come, whether you're at our market center or you're not. You're also invited to kind of join our hands-on sessions. So far, we've had some great feedback. So, I think things will work out pretty well if people get hands-on keyboards.
There you go. All right. I know your lead gen priorities may look a little different because you're the rainmaker, although let's go back to about 3 years ago. What were your lead gen goals and how are they different from today? Or maybe they're not different.
Lead generation. I look at lead generation as less about how many people or how many contacts and how much as to how much time I'm actually spending on it. I'm looking at the number of contacts that I make a day and how many that I'm able to close. And I basically business plan with all of my my people on the team and also the mentees, sorry, to be able to kind of identify that. So I think the way I look at it, and I actually have like some statistics around all of that, where if you plug in your numbers, it basically tells you how many contacts that you need to make per day to do that. So if you have business planned and you basically kind of figure out kind of what your goals are for from a number perspective, then that translates into the number of communications you need to make in a day. So when I look at lead generation, I'm looking at all four pillars, right? So it's going to be your marketing from from social media. It's going to be your database and the follow-ups on your database. It's going to be the cold calling. Right now, we're really concentrating on role playing and talking to investors, because each quarter that we have in the business is going to have a different lead generation um, person or entity, demographic, I guess, that you're looking at and trying to go after. So having those scripts down and role playing and knowing kind of what you need to say, letting it kind of roll off the tongue is going to be the most important thing that you can do from an education perspective. And then it's just do it, right? And basically figure out how many people that I need to talk to in a day and actually write those down and check them off, right? So and when I say write down, I mean digitally or on paper is basically what it is. So I teach my teams and people that work with me to kind of keep track of those things. But I think it differs from everybody and every year too, right? So I can't even remember what I did yesterday or what I ate for breakfast this morning. So 3 years ago, I can't tell you what my goals were. But I do know that I basically had a dollar goal in mind and then looked at it from how many people do I need to talk to. One of the big concepts, Diller, is when you talk to somebody today, that's going to translate into a sale or a close 4 months from now. So if I don't talk to somebody today and I'm worried about getting on the phone and making that phone call, then I am not going to have a sale 4 months from now. And if I do that for an entire week and I take an entire week off, then there's 4 months from now, I'm not going to have a paycheck for a week. And just imagine if that kind of continues on, right? So I think a lot of our business is based on fear, and overcoming that fear to pick up the phone and make that phone call is basically where it's at, right? So
Yeah.
I work with everybody that's on my team and everybody that we work with to kind of overcome that fear and make it so that really the fear goes away when you actually believe what you're saying, right? So if you believe that today is the right time for a buyer to purchase a property and you have the reasons why it is, then you're not going to have a hard conversation. It's going to be a very easy conversation because you're bringing some value to the table that nobody else is doing when you make that phone call, right?
Yep.
So so 3 years ago, I couldn't tell you what my goals were, and really we look at things here around how many communications and what do I need to do today in order to make that sale, 4 months from now. And generally, the statistic is if you have a really good conversation with 10 people, one of those is going to close in 4 months. So just imagine if you have 10 good conversations every single day, right?
Yep.
365 days a year. You're going to have 365 transactions minimum.
Yeah, I mean, I live by the principle if you want to change your universe, you've got to change what you're doing. Like you've got to go out and take action. And I
That's right.
just like that's like a much a larger, a global sort of mindset for me. And I take that and just shrink it down to exactly what you're saying. Like if I want to change my paycheck, if I want to change my income, if I want to change my revenue, I've got to change my activities and track them. Like you said earlier, you're tracking and making sure all of the activities are they have a return. So great stuff there. All right. How do you know that you won the day? You go home to your family and how do you know you won?
Um, so for me, I use the 12-week year and I actually use it myself. And it's
One
something that
one one second.
sure.
I'm writing that in the chat. Can you tell everyone, can you just explain, give a little bit more detail on what that is?
Yeah, the concept behind the 12-week year is basically that you are setting up your week and you have all of the activities already kind of set out and you write everything down so that you can basically say the number of people that you're going to be communicating with today. What are my money making things that I'm dialing it down here. There's a lot of concepts and a lot of things in it, but basically in the very short dialed down version, you're on a weekly basis setting up your entire week. You are going to have the communications and conversations that you need in order to hit your goals. You are also looking at the money making things and basically having all of the and segmenting your day and blocking your calendar for the activities that are going to both make you money and then also set up the money making activities, right? That's the general gist. And so it's for people who are like myself, who are probably high D's and high C's. I would love to see our high I's and S's do this as well, but they struggle a little bit more with it. It's a very, very concise and structured way to actually organize your day. And the thing I love about it is that I could go on forever and ever and ever. I'm a workaholic. So if I don't do it this way, then I'll be working until midnight and I'll be up at 6 o'clock in the morning working again. My 12-week year allows me to stop my day when I've completed all of the tasks that actually make my money.
So I put that link, guys. I put the link to the book in Amazon on Amazon in the chat. And then also there is a resources and website that you can go directly to. And if you're in the Southwest Market Center, I believe I saw one or two copies over in our library. So make sure you check that out. All right, Chris. So that's winning the day. Let's oh, what did I just click on? Okay. You like buyers or sellers better?
I love everybody. Honestly, yeah, anybody that's gonna make us money and allow us to build those relationships and friendships. I mean, every single client that I have right now or had in the past are friends. They call me, on every year at least, and I call them. We stay in touch, and I just love building those relationships. Buyers, sellers, they're
Which
they're
one's
just
easier for you?
I started out as a buyer's agent, so listings was not my thing. I had a huge bid business that was buyer. I was extremely buyer centric, and when I came to Keller Williams, I decided to actually start to work on the listing side of things. And they're both just as difficult. There's not one that's going to be easier than the other. It's work, no matter how you look at it. It's just different kinds of work. And I think
I
that
was
the
I was trying to bait you for a question, so that didn't help
no,
your
there you go.
interest.
Well, see, the thing here is that it's all systems. In my mind, everything that you do is a system. So you have your buyer systems and you have your listing systems. And basically, I think the delineation I have is it costs more money other than if you just kind of count gas and that sort of thing. There's more money that you need to put down for a listing than a buyer. So if you're trying to get into the industry and you're starting out, you may want to start out with a few more buyers than the listings, because if you're not spending the money on the actual marketing and doing what you need to do in order to kind of get these properties sold, then you're doing an injustice to your clients, right? And to your listings. So
So why I was trying to bait you there is because this is the question I love asking to all of our mentors. Okay. So in 14, you have 14 days. You have to get a new, I'm going to go with seller
okay.
because I think it's actually a little bit harder right now in the market for sellers, just with how everything's playing out. So if you have to get a new seller agreement, so a listing agreement signed in 14 days or less, what are you doing? Who are you calling? Where are you finding this person? You have 14 days.
I'm hitting all four of my pillars on a weekly basis to get my 14. I should be able to get at least half and half for each day that I'm working on things,
Can
right?
you
So
can you say those pillars so I can put them in the chat?
absolutely. So database, and I don't know how many times I've heard in champion school of real estate, in any courses that we're doing, like, guys, work your databases, and then you kind of talk to people who've been in the industry for years and years and years, and they don't even have a system. They don't know, they don't work their databases the same way as they probably should, right? So you can't keep everything upstairs. If you have 6,000 people that you need to talk to this year because your database has 6,000, and by the way, 201 is great, but 6,000 is a whole lot better, right? So if you have 6,000 people in your database, and you don't have systems in place, then you're never going to be able to keep up and really service your customers the way that you should. And if you're using the two-letter thing, I call it R2D2. I know that it's not that, but basically, if you're choosing two letters to be able to talk to your clients, 13 every 13 weeks, which is every quarter, then you are going to see a huge amount of business coming in, even with just 201. Diller, I think the statistic is that you have 17 transactions a year with a 201 database, right? So
Yeah, it's something close to that. We use the R2D2 ish system. Our platform, that our CRM that we use, sort of aggregates our calls in a very similar way, but we do make sure we're touching everyone. My number one agent, Ola, she definitely uses the DTD2 system. So, okay,
ETD.
so that we don't run out of time though. Okay, so your
Yeah.
pillars,
So
database.
pillars, it's database, social marketing, social media, right? Cold calling, and then it's actually open houses, door knocking. And I
Okay,
put those two together because you're going to door knock before your open houses.
right. And then okay. This is the other thing that I also love. So we ask all of our mentors, can you give us one action item that you would suggest these agents to go out and do weekly? A few examples and tips that we've received are, send 10 gratitude cards weekly. Schedule all of your open houses by 3 p.m. on Wednesday so that you can door knock. Um, have a system for your past clients weekly. What is something, let's go down to the minor tasks like weekly that you would say this is a really cool habit to get into, add this to your schedule.
Really cool habit that you can add to your schedule. On a weekly basis, you got the open house one. So, and definitely do your door knocking before that. Um, it's a good question, Diller.
And it can be personal, right? Maybe reading a book or saying your affirmations. Like what is something that we can add to our list of really like of habits that we need to start
I got you.
forming?
Well, you just nailed it. I mean, affirmations for me is daily, and it's every morning that I do my affirmations. I learned that from my previous uh, my previous boss. So yeah, he was great, and he basically was doing affirmations and that sort of thing. And I asked him what he was doing, and he told me, and he actually sent me his affirmations that he did and said, make this your own and do it for you. So affirmations are amazing. I got away from it and probably shouldn't have, but health is number one. So, every morning I used to kind of get up and do my workouts and that sort of thing, and I'm back at it now. So, I would say that your mental health is tied to your physical health as well. So, really, really take time for yourself. And I'm taking my own advice right now. So I got away from it because things got busy and I got up early and didn't keep up with it. So yeah, that's one thing that I really struggle with and basically got away from. So, and something that I know is important, and it's catching up. So we gotta get to it.
Perfect. Does anybody have any questions? We have 5 minutes left. Jana, can you share some ahas with us? You're right in front of my screen, so you get to be called out.
Uh, a whole lot of it. I really love, Chris, your thing that you're starting at your market center of the uh, hands-on training and everything. I think that's a wonderful idea. It's I myself, I'm terrified to make cold calls. I don't do them, and I know that I need to. So things like that are definitely going to be beneficial. And I might sneak up to the Northwest Market Center to uh, drop in on some of that.
Jenna,
So,
I love that. I love that. And there's no sneaking. I want you to walk in head high and stomping through the room. I'm here, right? Yeah, come on in. If you need some help or some coaching, it doesn't have to be with a mentor or a coach. Grab a person that you trust and that sort of thing. Do some role playing with them. Have an accountability partner. Like those are all things that you can do to really kind of get your business to the next level and get over the fear. The fear is what stops everybody. If you're not a mega agent and you're not successful right now, it is 100% fear that's stopping you from doing whatever it is that you want to do. So figure out what that fear is, and if it's picking up the phone, the answer is because you're not sure of what you're going to say. And if you're not sure of what you're going to say, then break it down. Like you're not sure what you're going to say, so let's go do some role playing and really get comfortable, and it'll roll off your tongue. And honestly, I started out in the same boat as you are right now. I hated cold calling. I hated it. I love it today. I'll
mhm,
pick up the phone and call anybody, and it's because I believe what I am saying. And I believe that I am actually going to provide value and be able to help somebody on the other end of the phone. And they can't live without what I have to offer are all the things. And that's not vanity. It's just that we've provided a program, and we have a program for almost every single type of buyer. And so if you're looking to do anything in real estate, you need to be working with me, and you need to be able to, and Jenna, I'm now kind of, that's the conversation, and it's the general gist. Obviously those aren't the words I'm using, but I'm coming across that way. All right, so definitely
right.
take advantage of the role playing sessions. So we have role playing sessions that you're absolutely allowed to join and that sort of thing, and even if it's just to listen in to get a little bit more information. Polly's Power Hour is today. I believe it's at 9 o'clock today. But or yeah, maybe 9 o'clock. But it is absolutely fantastic and something that everybody in the entire company should be joining. And if you're not, then you're doing yourself a disservice. But we also have on Tuesday mornings we have role playing with my team as well. So you're welcome to join that as well.
Perfect.
Thank you,
And Jana,
Chris.
Jana, I have watched your social media and your hustle lately, and I even gave you that shout out because I just think it's amazing. If you can change your mindset a little bit, where you could also start, if you're open to a suggestion, would be, all these people are commenting on your social media. Start there with a warm call. Just call them and say, hey, you commented on my social media. And then, the doors open a little bit wider than thinking of it and having that mindset of this is a cold call. Right? At that
Okay.
point, it sort of closes that gap that they're not so cold, they're a little bit warm, and they commented on your social media. Your social media is consistent, your open houses are consistent. Build off that pipeline. And then Jasmine and I did an open house the other day together, and sort of a similar thing, who do I call? And she had these people on her iPad on her little open house registry, and they seemed cold. However, they really weren't. They had been to multiple open houses in Leander, and she's a Leander girl now, right? So she can just call and say, I'm doing another open house in Leander just to start that brain mapping of if I have a question, Jasmine's girl, right? She's doing all the open houses in Leander. So use someone who's maybe already in your database as a warm call versus that mindset of this is a cold call and I hate them.
Well, and here's the
Okay.
other concept that we have as well is there's no such thing as a cold call as if you're targeting and you have targeted marketing, right? So if you know exactly the demographic of the person, and guys, you have Ramine or Ramini, however you want to pronounce it, it gives you all of the information for where they're at in their real estate careers or how long they've owned their homes, how much equity they have in it, and that sort of thing. We pull it into CRM systems that give us demographic information around how old they are and where they work, et cetera, right? But if you have all of those pieces of information, there isn't such thing as a cold call. You're going to be targeting and having a program. Like as an example, if I'm calling somebody who has a 2,000 square foot home and they're somewhere between 25 and 32 years old, and they've owned their home for more than 3 years, and they have about a $50,000 to $60,000 worth of equity or more in the property, then I'm calling them about my buyout program, right? So we're going to have you sell your property here and buy a bigger property because you're probably birthing right at this point. So and the home's getting a little bit small, and we're going to talk to them about leasing their property and keeping their properties instead of actually going out, and we give them the strategies around how to do that. If you're calling somebody who's 55 to 65 years old, then we have a program that's for our 55 plus individuals and that sort of thing. And it may be fine, or if we're looking to kind of maybe put them in an assisted living, we have a whole company around that right now that we're working with. If they're somewhere between 45 and 65 years old, you're calling them for the buy down program. If they have 3,000 square feet or more, they're probably, empty nesting and need to kind of downsize their properties. So they're going to be in our buy down program. So there's no such thing as a cold call as long as you're targeting the market and you kind of do your research behind it, right? Landlords, as an example, right now, during the down season and that sort of thing, the seasonality that we're going to see between September and December, your investors are the ones that you should be going after. That's not a cold call either. You have programs in place and systems in place for all of that. So yeah, everything is kind of a lukewarm or a hot lead, basically, or a hot call, right, for us.
I love it. So I took some notes here, guys. They're in the chat. Also, when we put this video, we're very close to our website. So we've got 12-week work here. Have your 4 pillars and know what they are. Mental health is tied to your physical health. And then I love it. There's no such thing as a cold call as long as you target your market and have a solution for everyone. Solution and systems. I'm going to add systems in there.
Thank you.
All right, Chris, thank you so much. And everyone on the call, you guys know if there's someone in your market center that you see walking around and you're just really curious, I will break the ice and do the interview. Just send them to me. All right,
Thanks,
guys,
everyone.
bye.
Bye.